Class is in session, hitting the books. College basketball show championship week has arrived, and we are happy that indeed it is here. Monday, March the 10th, Ian Cameron and Connor Mack with you, ready to break down a very busy Monday college basketball slate in the mid-major ranks. No ACC, no SEC, no Big 12. Tell all those big conferences to sit down. It's all about the little guys tonight. And the mid-majors. We got a couple of conferences that will be sending teams to the NCAA tournament tonight. We got the SoCon championship game and the Sun Belt championship game tonight. And then we got semifinal action in the majority of the other tournaments. So let's get into it, CMAC. We'll begin in this used to be the Colonial Athletic Association. It's now the Coastal Athletic Association, but it's still the CAA. It's Delaware and Towson, the first of two semifinals. Towson, 6.5-point favorites, 144.5 the total. I got me a very nice Towson plus 375 future to win this conference tournament. So I am certainly cheering them on. Don't need to lay 6.5. Don't want to lay 6.5. Delaware is that team, and it seems like in most of these conferences, every year there's a team that comes out of nowhere, doesn't play well during the regular season, and then all of a sudden, where did this come from? They're red hot all of a sudden, playing lights out. And that team is Delaware here in the CAA, with blowing out William and Mary, who have a pretty good team yesterday in the quarterfinals. But they've played a lot of games in a lot of days. They got to play this really tenacious defense of Towson. Towson's been scoring, though, lately, too. My goodness. Towson offensively down the stretch, 70s and 80s routinely. As of late, which makes them even more tough because they always could play good defense, and they're really starting to make shots now. So I think they win. It's just a matter of, do you want to lay 6.5? I think this is the night it runs out for Delaware. I could see them covering, but I think Towson's just the better team, the best defense in CAA as well, and I think they get it done here tonight. CMAC, what do you think here, Delaware, Towson?
Yeah, that's the big difference here. Is they're just the way better defense is. And yesterday, the game a little bit down the stretch back and forth, but they hit a massive three, hit 2 free throws, and cover by half a point as I had Drexel. So that's how it could go in these games. Delaware, though, if they can, team that shoots the three, if they could get hot, though, they could be in this. And a team, we've seen a couple, we'll get to them later, that just, it seems like they had lost, almost 10 straight games before this tournament. A team that's good from the free throw line, too. They don't get there a ton. But I think Towson wins this game. They just haven't been traditionally the team that I wanted to lay points with, even in this range. You know what I mean?
I agree. I hear you on that. I think they win. It's just a matter of, do they cover? And you have to lay 6.5. All right, Charleston and NC Wilmington, the second semifinal in the CAA tonight. Wilmington, 4-point favorites, 148 the total. This is another one where I think Charleston, fortunate as fuck, by the way, to beat Monmouth. And I had Monmouth plus the points. I had a longer shot future on Monmouth in this conference, and they probably could and should have beaten Charleston yesterday, but unfortunately they kind of ran out of gas in overtime. Charleston gets the 1-point win, but they had to extend themselves, play overtime, and meanwhile they're going up against a Wilmington team that had it pretty easy in their win against Hampton in the quarterfinals yesterday. So does that add up now for Charleston? They had to play, all their guys had to play more minutes. You're turning around, playing on a back-to-back, and I just think Wilmington is a little bit better of a basketball team, so I agree with them being favored. I lean to taking Wilmington here. I think this over could get there here in the 147.5, 148 range as well. CMAC, what do you think?
Yeah, I just stay off this. I think Wilmington's the better team. This line's 4.5. I mean, they beat them, as we do this all the time. Bavano, it seems like the last few years regularly, this Wilmington team. I think they got them both this year, right? Covered. Well, they didn't cover one or push by 2, and they won by 20. And I've wanted to back Wilmington kind of all year. I lean to them. This game could be close, down the stretch as we see in these games. And some have worked. Some teams that have won 2 have won third. We've seen that. A few, and there's been plenty third time around, especially if they kind of got beat down. The game's closer, they can win. So.
All right, we got the Sun Belt Championship. One of these teams is going dancing, Arkansas State and Troy. Arkansas State 2.5-point favorites, 141.5 the total in this game. Classic pace battle. Troy is going to slow it down with Scott Cross, great coach, and Arkansas State will look to speed it up. They play fast, but they're not always efficient. Arkansas State, they do play with pace. That's why this total is probably in the 140s. You got to account for the lower pace team, Troy, but you got to also bump it up a bit for the team that'll push pace, and that's Arkansas State. This reminds me a bit of High Point versus Winthrop, the Big South Championship yesterday. High Point got beaten in the championship game last year. They got back to the championship game this year. They made amends, and they got it done. Similar spot here for Arkansas State.
Well, in the second half.
They did. And they just
down 10.5
in the second half. That's what this feels like to me. And I'm cheering for Troy because I have Troy plus what's the price I had to win? Because they are one of the teams I took to win this conference, Troy. Plus 400 on Troy to win the Sun Belt. So I'm cheering for Troy. I don't feel great about Troy. I think Troy's capable. These teams split. The road team won each game. Troy won at Arkansas State. Arkansas State won at Troy during the regular season. I think it's going to be a great game. Clash of styles. Both teams playing well, but that little intangible of Arkansas State getting to the Sun Belt title game, losing, the pain of it all, that close to getting to the tournament. Now they're back in this same spot this year. That might just be enough to push them over the top. So I'm cheering for Troy for my plus 400. But if you ask me honestly, I think Arkansas State's going to find a way to win this game. C-Mac, what do you think here in the Sun Belt?
Yeah, I think this is kind of a coin flip. I think a little bit better offensively is Arkansas State. Both these teams, the numbers are pretty good, the defensive numbers, and they have been all year. Last night, they shot the ball great, did Troy. I don't know if they could do that again. 10 for 28 from 3, 19 23 from the free throw line. What do we get? Because I'm going to look at this. I want the under in these two teams. They just don't play fast. They're bad jump shooting teams. Troy's under 30% from 3. I think Arkansas State 32%. So I like the under. Now this total's down a little bit. I think if you look to the first half in this game for the under, because there could be just fouls, a lot of late night
yep.
stuff.
And don't foul because the season's on the line here. Yeah,
of course. Yep. And we don't know the refs. That's just one of the things, especially they've been doing for years. Really tight-lipped. You don't know who the refs are in college. So if you get a guy who's whistle happy, holy shit, it can. We saw a couple this weekend. I mean, this game's extended. It went on forever. It seemed like at the end.
Like I say, at this time of year, especially the smaller conferences, and even the bigger ones, because teams are playing for their tournament lives. First half, if you like the under, full game if you like the over.
Yeah, I've moved to it a ton, even in the big dance too, for sure.
All right, next up, it's another tournament ticket will get punched in the SoCon. This conference, man, I have been so thoroughly entertained. The games have been phenomenal, off the charts. Every year, it's one of the best conference tournaments, especially in the mid-majors, the Southern Conference. The great, look at the games yet. Furman, Chattanooga, great game. That was. VMI, obviously, they ran out of gas and they got blown up by Wofford. But other than that, most of the games have been really, really good. So next up, we've got Wofford and Furman, two old school rivals in this conference, meeting to decide who gets to the tournament. Furman 1-point favorites, 138.5 the total in this one. I got Furman pre-conference to win it. Furman plus 700. So I'm cheering for Furman. Bob Ritchie, great winning culture here. And I wouldn't put it past them to beat Wofford. This Furman team lost Pegues, Marcus Foster, two of the guys that were just huge components of the team that won last year and beat Virginia in the first round of the tournament, got to the tournament. People thought Furman was down this year. But Bob Ritchie's such a coach, great coach, that all of a sudden they get better and better as the season goes on, and here they are in the conference tournament playing their best basketball, because that's what the Furman Paladins are. They're a winning culture. And they still find a way, and the players have gotten better. I wouldn't be rushing to bet against them. I did take Wofford only because of my stance here. I've a mini hedge because Wofford is playing well. Let's give Wofford their credit. They beat East Tennessee State. I didn't expect that. And then they just destroyed VMI, who I think kind of ran out of gas yesterday in the semifinal. But they're playing really well as well. This is hotly contested series. I'm going to cheer for Furman because I got the plus 700, so I don't need to bet him, and I'm not going to bet him. But I did hedge with a little piece of Wofford money line here just in case. But I'm going to stick to Furman finding a way to win. Winning culture, Bob Ritchie. And this team's gotten better and better. And this total, unless I'm missing something, Wofford's trending over. Furman is trending over down the stretch. And the series history has been over. So I think this total's too light. I get it. It's a conference championship game. Defense, is part of it. But with pace too, 137.5 just felt too low. And potential for fouls late. Yeah, I thought this should have been in the 140s. I'm a little surprised the total's as low as it is. 137.5 is what I got here for the over. CMAC, what do you think?
I know. I was a little head scratching too. I thought this would be like 141, the 142.
Yep.
At least. So that was weird. I lean over in this game as well. Wofford again last night, I had the in mind. They kind of ran it. And Wofford again, they've been playing pretty good basketball. Even you go back to they just lost to Furman. They shot the ball well last night. I mean, we'll see if one of these Furman, though, better defense. They're a team that shoots the three pretty good. I think they win this game. I know Wofford's improved. Just think Furman's the better team. And I've leaned on them a couple times. They got me in that rough stretch. They lost to, Chattanooga? I mean, that was a huge game. Great game yesterday between the two. But I think they got blown out. I just think this team's been good all year, and they win it. So I like Furman.
Yeah, all right, good stuff. Next up, we've got the Horizon League semifinals, Oakland and Robert Morris. And this Robert Morris train, it's pissing me off because I've bet against them a few too many times lately, and I did it again with the with Wright State. That was a bad one. Robert Morris, 3.5-point favorites, 140.5 the total in this game. I'm going to do it again. Maybe I'm stubborn. This team's obviously playing well, Robert Morris, no doubt. I mean, they've lost one game in months. Their offense is great. They've gotten so much better defensively. They're a young team. That's why I'm surprised they're this good, and they've had this great of a season. But I am not laying points against the king of the Horizon League, coaching-wise, Greg Campy. And all he does with Oakland is get his teams to peak and play well. And he's got the opportunity now with a week of prep to get ready for Robert Morris. This is an elite coach in this conference, as far as I'm concerned, the Horizon League. I think if you like Robert Morris closer to a pick 'em, I get it. I think they are slightly the better team, Robert Morris. I do agree with that. But the coaching angle does matter. Extra prep time. Greg Campy's as good as it gets. Took Oakland to the tournament last year. This team's gotten better and better and better. I can get a +4 now with Oakland in a couple of books. I'm taking it. Give me the Golden Grizzlies. Greg Campy, man. He gets it done at this time of year. Let's see if he can get it done again tonight. CMAC, what do you think?
Yeah, I thought the number was a little bit short, but it's moved out here. You talked about to some 4s. I think the game could be close. Robert Morris, though, to me, is the better team. But it's not a pick 'em. So it's just tough. I kind of had to just stay off this game and keep it a lean. They've been just rolling, and I think they're the best team in this one. But Oakland is scrappy. I think that's this one. Don't leave them around because I think, the game could be close in the end. But I like Robert Morris.
All right, Youngstown State.
Great ATS, too. Unreal year for Robert Morris. 24-6.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, I like the over a little bit, too, in Oakland, Robert Morris. This one, I kind of think this could be an under because Youngstown State's, I think, still without one of their better scorers. And they won the last game without him. But eventually, as the competition gets tougher, that could start to show up. They play Cleveland State in the other Horizon semifinal. Cleveland State, 2.5-point favorites, 138 the total. I think Cleveland State does get it done, the Vikings, over Youngstown State in this game. I would probably take a money line instead of laying the 2.5. Like I said, this one could stay under. I could see it. Cleveland State, not a bad defensive team in this conference. That could be the difference. So I lean Cleveland State a little bit in that one. What do you think, CMAC, the second Horizon League semifinal?
This is one I didn't have a ton on. And if these two teams shoot the ball well, this goes over. Man, I thought this was a little light, but do we get that here today? Cleveland State's been playing to the under, especially these last few games, and they can really slow it down in a game like this. That was my one thing at taking the over. But Youngstown has been playing a little bit quicker, and their totals have been a lot higher. So interesting on this total. This could be one to bet to bet live here to get a number.
All right, Big Sky Conference, Montana State, Idaho State, and then Idaho, Portland State. Idaho State 1.5-point favorites, 139 the total, and then the other one, Portland State 4.5-point favorites. I like the favorites in both, actually, and I like my dogs, but we're in a price range here where the winner is probably going to cover. Idaho State, I remember in the non-conference, they had some good showings. I remember that they played pretty solid. I think the Bengals, as far as defense, pretty good as well. Could be the difference. And I saw a stat that Idaho State, in the state of Idaho this year, I mean, I think they've lost 2 or 3 games all year when the game's been in Idaho. That's pretty good, and that's obviously where this tournament is. So a little bit of a situational location advantage for Idaho State too. So I think Idaho State gets past Montana State. And then in the other game, I think Portland State does win. I think they're the better team, 4.5. I might just do a parlay because if I split and go 1-1 with the 2 favorites, I'm going to lose juice anyway. So I might just parlay Idaho State and Portland State on the money line. And that way, both of them cash 2-0 and you get a plus money return. C-Mac, what do you think tonight in the Big Sky?
You know what I like in this game? Like it's slow is the over. I think Montana State can slow it down a little bit, and they do have the better defense. But I think there's enough points here. Idaho State, especially games at home, they've gone over at a pretty high clip, and I thought this was just a low enough number where we could get there in the end. And I think, I lean Idaho State as well. Just being at Idaho here, I think they can get the job done. That other game, I'm off. Portland State, I've only really wanted to back them at home. They've just been dominant there. Now on the road's been a little bit different, and on a neutral. So that game's a little bit tough. If Idaho's shooting the ball well, they could definitely be in that game. I think it all manages on how they're shooting it.
All right, next up, we've got the West Coast Conference semifinals at Orleans Arena down the road from Connor Mack. We've got Pepperdine and St. Mary's. Pepperdine's the story of the tournament. Where did this come from? They've pulled off some stunners, and the Santa Clara win was shocking. They were 15 and a half, 16-point dogs, and they beat Santa Clara outright in the semifinal or quarterfinals last night. Now they're playing on a back-to-back. They are not a very deep team. That's concerning, but it's one of these deals where it's tough to lay 20 against a team that's playing with this great confidence right now in Pepperdine. 20-point favorites are St. Mary's, 135 the total. I mean, I took Pepperdine plus 20, but there is a fear that this team just hits the wall, runs out of gas, and St. Mary's can really tighten the screws defensively. That being said, the other thing to note with totals in this conference, CMAC, 4 of the 5 games have gone over, and many of them have flown over the total. The only game that stayed under so far in the West Coast Conference tournament was Pepperdine, Santa Clara last night, and it was barely under the total. I think it was 156 the total, and it ended with 154 points. So there's been a lot of overs here at the Orleans Arena. Loose rims here. The ball's falling through the hoop a little bit more. I'm on Pepperdine there, plus 120 a little bit. And then in the other one, San Francisco, Gonzaga. It's one of those deals where it's a big number with Gonzaga. I'm not laying it, but they really did turn into a different beast down the stretch, and I do worry about that here. And they did handle things pretty well with San Francisco this year. I don't know if I'd trust San Francisco enough to take the points.
Can't do it.
Yeah,
come on.
I don't think. But you know what I like in this one? I do really, really like the over in that one, especially because not just because the West Coast games have gone over in this tournament, but look at the history. Head-to-head history, recent form, San Francisco trending over, Gonzaga trending over. Look at the head-to-head games. And I went back and looked, Connor. They've played in the WCC tournament in the semifinal round 2 years in a row. Both of those games flew over the total head-to-head at the WCC tournament. Last year, it got into the 160s. I think the year before that, it got into the high 150s for total points. This total's only, 154? I think it can get there, too. C-Mac, what do you think tonight in the WCC?
Yeah, I think it's going to run out here for Pepperdine, a team that hasn't played anything close. A little bit better down the stretch. They shot the ball well, but this team, they have just struggled with. I mean, these have been 30-point, 25-point losses, like consistent. It seems like, I don't know, the last 5 years or more. Even when Pepperdine's had better teams.
Might crash tonight. I am.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge number. So if they can still, we know that St. Mary's defense is great. They can hit some shots. They can be in it. And in the other game, I think there's points. Yeah, points. This is the one we talk about the under in the Missouri. This has just been over crazy. I was mad the other night I didn't have the Washington State over. The Friday night the team total the over flew, but the next game, but these games just go over. There's just points in this place. It's just great. It's happened year in and year out at the Orleans. It just continues.
Even last night, and I had a pretty good bet on it. Washington State and San Francisco. Like at halftime, it was like actually under pace at halftime, slightly. And I was
these second halves sometimes have gone crazy. Though.
Yeah,
you get 100 points.
Yeah,
95 points. Yeah.
Huge explosion in the second half, and it obviously soared over the total with room to spare. So didn't end up sweating that after all. Okay, this is a conference that I'm in and out when it comes to handicapping it throughout the year. So I'll just go quickly. Southland Conference quarterfinals. The only thing I've gotten the two games there: Texas A&M Corpus Christi versus Northwestern State, and Incarnate Word versus Nicholls State. I like Northwestern State. I took them as a slight dog. I like the way they finished the season. I believe this tournament's in Louisiana, so it's situational advantage slightly for Northwestern State in this game. So I think plus the 4 is what I got with Northwestern State. I took that. An Incarnate Word, Nicholls kind of leaned to the over there. I think Nicholls wins. I didn't really want to lay 3.5, but I think Nicholls is the team that advances there. Anything for you, CMAC, Southland quarterfinals?
No, I couldn't get there. I'm pretty high on this, on Texas A&M Corpus Christi. I think they're the better team. Northwestern State, though, is scrappy, and if they want to be in this, it's got to go under. That's where they've capitalized. But this line is, the regular season, 143, 138. Even last year, you saw 145s. Like, this is a huge drop. Like, this, they're hanging at 134.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be all over this under first half. The first half, I think, is 60. I just couldn't get there. Because I think Northwestern State can grind this and maybe, keep this game close too. And, it's not much movement all day. Basically a 4s, 3.5s everywhere. But I do think A&M Corpus Christi won both games too. I think by 12 and 12, something right around there in both of them. The other game is a pass for me too. Nicholls, this has been a good matchup for them over the years. Incarnate Word's been a little bit of a struggle on the road. So, yeah, it's a pass. Lee Nicholls.
All right, there you have it. Great stuff. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button on the way out. We appreciate it very much. All right, that's every game. We hit every game. That's it. It's a nice small card, 12 games. We touched on all of them. So it's time to get right into best bets. CMAC, your Monday night best bet. I love that the mid-majors have the spotlight tonight. What do you like here tonight for best bet?
Yeah, let's get to it, too. We'll get to it maybe tomorrow. Their comment the other day about our bets one fucking day. Anyways,
hey, we do the best we can with them, especially.
Yeah, I mean, Friday we've gone on some unbelievable runs too. Like,
my totals have been awesome. My side's not so much lately. That I've noticed. Yeah.
We talked about the San Fran over. I'm not giving you that. I'll give you this here. Arkansas, Troy for the show. First half under 66.5. I got minus 110 on it. There's a few spots with that, at least 66. I think it stays under there early. Too slow of teams. That's it. The doorbell strength.
Arkansas State, Troy, under 66.5 first half for CMAC with his best bet in the Sun Belt championship game. I'm going to go to the other championship game for my best bet, the SoCon. That total's too low, in my opinion. Wofford and Furman have been trending over. Both teams shoot the ball efficiently. I think the pace will be good enough. You could always get late fouls, even if it does bog down, to send it over. The total's reasonable. It's 137.5. There are still a couple 137.5s, but some books have 138, 138.5. So shop around. But I like Wofford, Furman, over 137.5 in the SoCon championship. That'll be my best bet for this Monday. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. And again, we'll be back tomorrow, and we start to get the power conferences going in the conference tournaments tomorrow. So looking forward to that. Daryl Benton, Dram Yankee, Kenny Woo Woo Woo, JJ Flannery, Nick Alvento, Gerald Jones, GNL Photo, Timothy Hake, T. Moss. We appreciate all you guys joining us here in the chat. That's it for CMAC. I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Monday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. We'll see you tomorrow on Tuesday, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, for another edition of the College Basketball Hitting the Books show. Until then, class dismissed.
Dismissed.